What's up, Ice and Fire fans? Welcome back to the House of Vine podcast and the long-awaited part 3 of Golden Lions, Golden Dragons. It's been a while since we discussed this topic, so let's do a quick recap of our last 2 episodes. I started this series by claiming that the twins, Jaime and Cersei, are actually the illegitimate children of Aerys II and Joanna Lannister, not their little brother, Tyrion. Our first clue came from the author himself in the form of Jaime's aunt, Jenna Lannister. We listened to a dream that Jaime had, a dream in which he speaks to his mother. In their conversation, it strongly suggested that Lord Tywin is not the father of the Lannister twins. We also concluded that in his dream, Jaime's missing hand has to be symbolizing that something in this dream is true. We also discussed the sincerity of the Mad King Aerys and Lord Tywin's friendship, that their falling out must have been attributed to some kind of altercation involving the Lady Joanna. This, perhaps, could explain why she was abruptly dismissed from court. This then leads us to the last piece of evidence previously discussed in this series, the years in which the Lannister children were born. We are told that Joanna gave birth to the twins shortly after her dismissal from court in the year 266 AC, Tyrion following 7 years after that. A man so obsessed with the idea of legacy and family wouldn't wait 3 years after being wed to have children. This inconsistency in Tywin's character cannot be ignored. Okay, so let's head back to A Feast for Crows to have a closer look at the dream Jaime has about his mother.
That night he dreamt that he was back in the great sept of Baelor, still standing vigil over his father's corpse. The sept was still and dark, until a woman emerged from the shadows and walked slowly to the bier. Sister? But it was not Cersei. She was all in grey, a silent sister. A hood and veil concealed her features, but he could see the candles burning in the green pools of her eyes. "Sister," he said, "what would you have of me?" His last word echoed up and down the sept. "I am not your sister, Jaime." She raised a pale, soft hand and pushed her hood back. "Have you forgotten me? Can I forget someone I never knew?" The words caught in his throat. He did know her, but it had been so long. "Will you forget your own Lord Father, too? I wonder if you ever knew him truly?" Her eyes were green, her hair spun gold. He could not tell how old she was. 15, he thought, or 50. She climbed the steps to stand above the bier. He could never abide being laughed at. That was the thing he hated most. "Who are you?" He had to hear her say it. "Question is, who are you?" "This is a dream." "Is it?" She smiled sadly. "Count your hands, child." "One." One hand clasped tight around the sword hilt. "Only one." "In my dreams, I always have 2 hands." He raised his right arm and stared uncomprehending at the ugliness of his stump. "We all dream of things we cannot have. Tywin dreamed that his son would be a great knight, that his daughter would be a queen. He dreamed they would be so strong and brave and beautiful that no one would ever laugh at them. "I am a knight," he told her, "and Cersei is a queen." A tear rolled down her cheek. The woman raised her hood again and turned her back on him. Jaime called after her, but already she was moving away, her skirt whispering lullabies as it brushed across the floor. "Don't leave me," he wanted to call, but of course she'd left them long ago.
So this dream of Jaime's is sort of a flashback type dream, I guess we could call it, that matches up with a scene found in Jaime Chapter 1 of Feast for Crows. This would explain why Jaime thinks that the Silent Sister is actually Cersei. If you remember, it was she who came to Jaime while he was guarding Lord Tywin to offer him the position of hand. In this dream, however, the mystery woman tells him that she is not his sister. We already concluded that this Silent Sister is actually Jaime's mother, Joanna. Now, what I'm about to say might be taken as a giant leap on my part, and I wouldn't blame you, but I still have to mention it. When Jamie looks at the silent sister, Martin writes that he could see the candles burning in the green pools of her eyes. Martin also writes at the beginning of this dream that the great sept of Baelor was dark and still. It could be said that these two observations don't match up because, if there are candles in the room, the flames would be dancing, making the shadows move as well. If this were the case, the room wouldn't appear to be still at all. What might actually be happening here is that Jamie is seeing himself reflected in the eyes of his mother, the burning candles representing the Targaryen side of his bloodline. But like I said, it's kind of a stretch. Next, we have the part when Joanna asks if he ever truly knew his father. It's important to point out that before she tells Jamie that his father could never abide being laughed at, she first climbs the steps to stand above the bier. I think this is Martin's subtle attempt at telling the reader Joanna is not talking about the dead Hand of the King. There's only one person that would have been held in higher regard than Lord Tywin, and that would be the Mad King. Her standing above Tywin seems to cement this idea. It is true Tywin mistrusted laughter, but in regards to the Mad King, someone as paranoid as him, it seems more likely that he would be the one who hated being laughed at more than anything else. The last thing about this dream I want to talk about has to do with the fact that Tywin is only ever mentioned by name once in this scene. Joanna tells Jamie Tywin dreamed that his son would be a great knight, that his daughter would be a queen. He answers by stating that he is a knight and Cersei is a queen. We then see a tear run down the silent sister's cheek before she walks away. Now first of all, wouldn't it make more sense for Joanna to say, "Your father dreamed that his son would be a great knight, that his daughter would be a queen"? Why would a parent refer to the other by name when talking to their children? This only makes sense if Tywin isn't the twins' real father. As for the tear, this has to be showing how sad Joanna is that Tywin's dreams never came true. Okay, now it's time to talk about everyone's favorite character, the queen we love to hate, Cersei Lannister. Back in part 2, I said that we would look for any similar traits that she and King Aerys shared. We all know that the Mad King not only earned his nickname by burning High Lords to death, but by also being extremely suspicious and paranoid. It just so happens, paranoia is one of the main themes in Cersei's arc. One of the earliest examples of just how bad her paranoia is can be found in Cersei Chapter 3, A Feast for Crows.
Tommen will be safe, I promise you. Safe? The word tasted bitter on her tongue. Jamie did not understand. No one understood. Tyrion will not kill the same way twice. He's too cunning for that. He could be under the floor even now, listening to every word we say, and making plans to open Tommen's throat. I want you to remain with Tommen all night. Is that understood? I will have a guardsman outside his door. She seized his arm. Not a guardsman, you, and inside his bedchamber. In case Tyrion crawls out of the hearth, he won't. So you say. Will you tell me that you found all the hidden tunnels in these walls? I will not have Tommen alone with Margaery, not for so much as half a heartbeat. Cersei had not wanted Tommen and his wife to share a bed at all, but the Tyrells had insisted. Margaery may share Tommen's bedchamber for that one night, she had been forced to say. No longer. Your Grace is so gracious, the Queen of Thorns had replied, and everyone had exchanged smiles. Cersei's fingers were digging into Jaime's arm hard enough to leave bruises. I need eyes inside that room, she said. To see what? He asked. There can be no dangers of a consummation. Tommen is much too young, and Ossifer Plum was much too dead. But that did not stop him fathering a child, did it? Her brother looked lost. Who is Ossifer Plum? Was he Lord Philip's father, or who? Forget Plum, just remember what I told you. As you command, he said, as if her fears were groundless. Do you still mean to go ahead and burn the Tower of the Hand? After the feast. It was the only part of the day's festivities that Cersei thought she might enjoy. If the gods are good, the fire may smoke a few rats from the rubble. Jaime rolled his eyes. Tyrion, you mean? Him and Lord Varys and this jailer?
So it's pretty clear that Cersei is extremely afraid that something is going to happen to her son Tommen. She's sure that Tyrion will try to hurt her son at some point during the wedding, which causes her to put guards in the same room as Tommen and Margaery. We then hear Jaime ask her if she will still burn down the Tower of the Hand, which gives us a few more clues about them being the children of Aerys. First of all, she is convinced that Tyrion and Varys are still hiding within the Red Keep, which we know isn't the case. She hopes to smoke them out after they set the Tower of the Hand on fire. During this conversation, Cersei tells Jaime that she wants to build a new capital and rule from Casterly Rock. It seems Cersei is starting to sound like Aerys. Remember, the Mad King aspired to building a new capital during his reign as well. I'm not the only person who thinks Cersei is starting to sound a lot like Aerys.
If these flames spread beyond the tower, you may end up burning down the castle, whether you mean to or not. Wildfire is treacherous. Lord Halin has assured me that his pyromancers can control the fire. The Guild of Alchemists had been brewing fresh wildfire for a fortnight. Let all of King's Landing see the flames. It will be a lesson to our enemies. Now you sound like Aerys.
We have another sign that Cersei is just as mad as Aerys, and it's shown in this same chapter. While talking to Jaime, Cersei thinks to herself, "How could I have ever loved that wretched creature?" Normally, when a POV character thinks to themselves, it's followed by them thinking the answer. It's important for me to point out that the text specifically says, "He was your twin, your shadow, your other half," another voice whispered. This could be another stretch on my part, but this seems like Cersei is actually talking to herself, and talking to yourself is the first sign of insanity. Moving on, in this same chapter, Cersei chapter 3, we see that Lady Margaery and Tommen have finally wed. During the feast, it becomes ever clearer that Cersei thinks that everyone is plotting against her, everyone from Lady Olenna and the Tyrells to her own Uncle Kevin and the rest of her father's bannermen. Now, we're going to need more than just "they're both mad" to help prove my theory. Ramsay Snow is just as crazy, but that doesn't make him the son of Aerys now, does it? The true comparison isn't found simply within their madness, but in the justification of their madness. What do I mean? First, let's talk Aerys. We know he was growing overtly suspicious of the great houses towards the end of his reign. We also learned from the World of Ice and Fire that Rhaegar was most likely going to denounce his father and call a great council. Before the start of Robert's rebellion, we saw alliances being forged between houses Stark, Tully, Baratheon, and Lannister. History shows that these houses usually only married within their own kingdoms. My point is that Aerys might have been justified in his paranoia that the other houses were planning to rise against the throne. This then takes us to Cersei. Like I said, she fears that the Tyrells are plotting against her. It's Jaime and Kevin who keeps telling her that these suspicions are unwarranted. However, we the reader, we know that it was the Tyrells who killed Joffrey, meaning her growing suspicions and her madness is also justified. Martin has drawn us a map leading to the idea that the twins are Targaryen bastards. This massively close parallel between Cersei and Aerys is another mark on that map. For our last Cersei and Aerys comparison, let's head to the end of Cersei chapter 3, A Feast for Crows, so we can watch her reaction to the burning of the Tower of the Hand.
100 yards from the tower, she took a breath to stop her head from spinning. "Lord Helene, you may commence." Helene the pyromancer said, "Hum!" and waved the torch he was holding, and the archers on the walls bent their bows and sent a dozen flaming arrows through the gaping windows. The tower went up with a whoosh. In half a heartbeat, its interior was alive with light red, yellow, orange, and green, an ominous dark green, the color of bile and jade and pyromancer's piss. The queen could feel the heat of those green flames. The pyromancers said that only 3 things burn hotter than their substance: dragon flame, the fires beneath the earth, and the summer sun. It is beautiful, she thought, as beautiful as Joffrey when they laid him in my arms. Cersei thought of all the king's hands that she had known through the years. All of them are burning now, she told herself, savouring the thought. They are dead and burning, every one, with all their plots and schemes and betrayals. It is my day now. It is my castle and my kingdom. Lord Helene, how long will the fires burn? All night, your grace. Cersei beckoned to Jaime. Lord Commander, escort his grace and his little queen to their pillows, if you will. As you command. And you as well? No need. Cersei felt too alive for sleep. The wildfire was cleansing her, burning away all the rage and fear, filling her with resolve. The flames are so pretty. I want to watch them for a while.
So we see Cersei gathering up the wedding guests so that they may witness the burning of the Hand's Tower. It's apparent that she has become quite close to the Pyromancers Guild, claiming that they've been making new wildfire for her for weeks. We know that the Mad King was also very close with them, even naming one as Hand of the King. It's very important to point out that she describes the burning of the tower as beautiful. The chapter ends with everyone leaving, save for Cersei, because she wants to watch the tower burn. Why she would want to stay and watch these pretty flames? My answer? Like father, like daughter. So that's it for part 3. In our 4th and final video, we'll take a look at the Lannister family tree found in the back of the World of Ice and Fire, and I'll tell you why I think Tyrion is Lord Tywin's only child. Thanks for watching. Share, like, and subscribe to stay updated and be the first to watch newly uploaded videos.